This episode of the Community Workbench podcast is brought to you by yours truly, Matt Norn of Remax Bell Park. For all of your real estate needs, call me 860-428-6534. Your dreams are my job. Welcome to the Community Workbench. I'm Matt Norn and this is Kyle Morrissey. We are your hosts of the number one podcast in my basement. At the bench, we try to repair the sense of community. So every week we bring you small businesses, entrepreneurs, community leaders, charities, and pretty much whoever we feel like talking to. And this week we feel like talking to Real Custom Training owner operator Andrew Morrison. How you doing, Andy?
Good, Matt.
Good.
Thanks for having me. Thanks,
Good.
Kyle.
And it's great to always have another podcaster on. I don't know, it just makes it. I almost feel a little bit easier.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Because had to fill time and
Yeah,
that kind of stuff.
You're like, he won't freak out.
Yeah. and when we sweat and panic more than you, that's great. So,
Yeah, very happy to be here.
yeah. So how did Real Custom Training become a thing, or how'd you originate that?
So it's I've been running the business since 2022, and we do leadership development for local companies. And I had been overseeing a department that did that type of work at QVCC, and really fell in love with the field of not just education, but specifically working with professionals to develop skills to get better at their current job. Not training people to get a foot into the industry, but actually working with companies to help develop their incumbent workers, their existing workforce. So it was really rewarding to, people would tell us that the programs really helped them, become a better professional, a better boss in a lot of cases. And we all know, like, a good boss has a huge ripple effect on a lot of people in a lot of lives.
Right, for
and
sure.
a well-trained boss, life's easier for them and everyone reporting to them. So that always meant a lot. And eventually I decided I wanted to start my own training firm so that I could also jump in as an instructor. Because when I was in higher ed, I was in just, administrative roles. And the closer I got to this type of work, I was like, I think I could be a good instructor for this type of programming. So
Nice.
Yeah, so in 2022, my wife and I started Real Custom Training and have been running it ever since.
Wow. Does your wife have involvement? Like she trains too, or?
No, I want her to.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm asking her all the time.
Yeah.
But she helps me out. She has her MBA, so she's got a lot of good skills, and she helps me with the especially like the financial anything to, any number activity.
Yeah.
Which is not my strength. She's a huge help on that.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife's a CPA.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's
Nice. Yeah,
same thing,
yep.
dude.
But yeah, I do want her. She's an experienced grant writer.
Oh wow.
So I do often tell her, I'm like, we should start a grant writing workshop through Real Custom Training and have you run it.
That's huge.
Yeah.
I struggle because I've tried to train like when I was doing woodworking and contracting, and a lot of times I have a tough time like saying what I'm doing as I'm doing it. So if you're not a visual learner, it's tough to learn from me. I've found, even doing stuff with the kids, which I have one that's very visual learner and one that does not. So to me, that I don't know if that's a skill that you can acquire. You know what I mean? Like, what do you think? Is it something that you're just naturally good at, or is it something that you've learned?
Yeah, there's
to train people.
Yeah, I think everybody's got a style. You can call it a learning style, communication style, personality style. And I think it's good to have self-awareness of what your style is, but I do think you can learn to apply the other styles too.
Okay.
So I'm with you. I'm a visually dominant learner.
Yeah.
But I can learn through other ways if I put the effort in.
Okay.
And with training, it's really important to help people learn how to know what their style is, and then kind of assess the style of whoever they're trying to train, so that they can adjust their own style to kind of meet that person where they
Yeah.
are. And it applies to management too. You know, we one of the things we teach managers and supervisors about is exactly that, communication styles. And you
Yeah.
kind of people will come to the realization of, oh, I'm a driver style. That's why it annoys me when so and so comes to my office and they're asking me about my weekend. You know, because the driver just wants to get down to business.
Oh,
Like, let's
okay. I
just
see what you
talk
mean by
numbers.
driver.
Let's get into it. So, you know, if you're a driver and someone else is more of an analytical style, if you're aware of that, you can start to say, oh, maybe that's why we never seem to gel or always seem to have miscommunications.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe I can be a little bit more like them. They can be a little bit more like my style, and we can,
We meet in the
improve the
middle. Yeah.
communication.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. So you must train on it. Do you train people how to train?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
pretty cool.
that's one of our programs. Our bread and butter is leadership and management training,
Hmm.
especially for um, new supervisors. You know, first being promoted to a management role, um, but really anyone in a management role who hasn't had fundamental training, we can help.
Okay.
Because sometimes people will say, well, I've been managing for 8 or whatever number of years, um, so maybe I don't need this program. But when people come into our workshops, regardless of their experience, if they have a lot of experience, they end up saying, "Oh, this,
Yeah, there's always something
I
to
knew
pick
this,
up.
but I didn't know this, or I've
Yeah.
never seen it put this way, or
Yeah.
I've never seen that framework." So we make it work for everybody.
Yeah, that's one thing I've always been naturally coachable. And I didn't even know that word
Mm-hmm.
until like, I don't know, maybe a decade ago. But like that was like when we're doing stuff, like I want to hear everybody's input before we, you know what I mean? Like if you're discussing a design or whatever when we're building houses and stuff, like if you think you have a better way of doing this, like tell me. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was that kind of guy. And uh obviously when I was a beginner, I was like, what do you need me to do? That kind of thing. And I
Yeah, you're
was,
in that sponge mode.
yeah, you're
Yeah.
just like, so but yeah, in that aspect, like you can like being a real realtor now almost a decade, and I'll still go to trainings, and there's still, well, we have to go to certain CE
Mm-hmm.
courses, but like our trainings come up all the time. I love them. I love networking with other realtors and going through different scenarios and stuff like that because there's always something to pick up. So I could just imagine like a formal training of being a manager and the fundamentals of being a manager, that stuff. Like there's always something for everybody, whether they're beginners or
Yeah,
well
absolutely.
experienced. So
Oh, and you had asked if we train people how to train. So
yeah.
that is, I said, our bread and butter supervisory and management, but we also have a program, Train the Trainer, which
Okay.
uh, one of our instructors, Rocky Blunt, um, who is has been my mentor since I met him through QVCC. Um, he teaches our Train the Trainer program,
Okay.
and he's got decades of experience doing corporate training, and it that is of his probably hundreds of workshops he's done. That's his favorite one,
Okay.
and it gets great reviews from people.
Nice.
Yeah, we
Nice.
we just ran that for Green Rubber Company out of Danielson.
Okay.
Um, we ran it for them a few weeks ago and got. I'm happy to say they're no exception to this. We got rave reviews from their employees about how helpful it was.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice. Yeah, that's
because
always cool when
training's
you
tough.
connect in a training, when you connect with the instructor and you're really
Mm-hmm.
picking up a lot. And even you'll find a lot of the instructors will be like, I learned a lot too.
Oh,
You know what I
totally.
mean?
Yeah.
Because I I don't know. I've never met a good teacher that just teaches and doesn't learn anything. They always tell me that, if you want to learn a lot, go teach something.
Yep.
And it's like, it's part of the model of the Boy Scouts. And I've been with the Boy Scouts now 4 or 5 years. And it's boy led. So, when you're younger scout, the older scouts are training, but then you learn how
Mm-hmm.
to train the younger scouts. And that really helps get the knowledge beaten into your head. You know what I mean? It helps the absorption
Oh,
because you're like,
absolutely.
and I always knew that about classes. I've always wanted to go out for coffee after class because then we can talk about what happened at class, and that
Yeah.
helps set it in my mind.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. They say you only learn by reflecting on experience.
Okay.
You know, the old adage is you learn from experience,
Yeah.
but it's actually the reflection, which
Okay.
conversation with
Yeah.
others is a way to do that.
Yeah.
That is what scientifically cements
Yeah.
the learning for us.
Yeah. I think that's what homework is for too. Is you're supposed to kind of like go through it again,
Yeah, more of
reflect
that.
on it.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, and we do have sometimes we have homework in our workshops where cuz we're all about when people come take a workshop with us, we want them to be able to go right back to work and have skills they can put into action.
Hmm.
So sometimes when we have a you know, like one of my 6-week programs, in between sessions, I'll say, here's your homework. You know, we learned about giving feedback today. Your homework is go to your boss and ask them these 3 questions for feedback and then
Yeah.
report back at the beginning of the next session. And that's really the I think that's the type of stuff people love most about our workshops is we make it about them and how what we have to teach them about and what they have to teach us and each other about, how it can help them do a better job at work. And
Yeah.
that's really,
Nice.
you know, people leave feeling like it was worth their time because it was helpful.
Yeah. Now, where do you do this? Is this like a facility that you own? Is that like or
Um,
lease or is
yeah,
that
so
like a building?
we're out of Putnam, so we have you guys know the old library in Putnam?
Yep.
Okay,
No.
that's like a local.
It's by Price Chopper. It's like almost part of the same building.
Oh,
Where'd you
okay.
guys grow up?
I grew up in Plainfield.
In Plainfield,
Rhode Island.
Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Where'd
Yeah,
you
so
grow up?
it's Thompson.
Thompson. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
so I remember
Did you
going.
go to Turtle Lot?
Yeah, 2004.
Yeah, that's when you graduated?
Yeah.
So I was 02. So
Okay,
did you play soccer?
I did.
All right. So
Yeah.
we probably played
2000.
each other.
I don't know about. Feel like we've met at some point before.
My face is on the internet a lot.
I know, but it's still. Or I feel like we like maybe have a mutual
It's-
friend or
it-
what? Because what made you ask about Thompson and Turtle Lot? Do you have connections in?
Yeah, I know somebody that graduated, but I don't. She would have graduated later than that.
Okay, okay.
Gotcha.
I'll ask you after.
But yeah, it's one of those funny like local tests.
Oh,
where
yeah,
I can, for
yeah.
some people, I can be like the old library, and they're like, oh, yeah, I know
Yeah.
exactly where you are.
Yeah.
But yeah. So when the town sold the library, guy bought the library building. Eric Gould, who owns Savage Systems,
Yeah. Yeah.
leases the building, and then me and Quiet Corner Physical Therapy are in there with him
Oh, nice.
as his tenants.
Oh,
Yeah, so
okay.
the three of us, Savage Systems, Quiet Corner Physical Therapy, and Real Custom Training. are in that building.
You've done the Putnam Trick or Treat?
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
So that's probably where I've
Oh, yeah.
been. Yeah. I was Burger King this year.
Oh, really? I had to miss it this year. We were up in Maine,
Oh,
actually.
wow.
But, yeah, that's always fun. But yeah, so in Putnam, we've got a big classroom space. So it's, you know, when you walk in, there's a table for the instructor, big screen TV to put slides and videos up on, and then everybody sits in a horseshoe,
Okay.
you know, horseshoe
Yeah.
facing the instructor.
I think you've done videos there because I think I've
Yep,
seen
we've done
this.
some
Yeah,
videos
I've
in
seen
there.
some online stuff.
But that way everybody's looking at each other and talking to one another and to
Yeah.
the instructor.
Yeah.
And it's really our workshops are the name Real Custom Training. Real stands for the 4 qualities that you need for good adult education, and it's relevant. It's got to matter to you. So
Yeah.
you go to a workshop for your job. If you're sitting there saying this has nothing to do with what I do for a living, you're in the wrong.
You're already
workshop.
checking out. Yeah.
It's got to be engaging. Everyone's got to be talking to each other. Lots of activities, actionable. We want them to be able to use it right away, and lasting. Where, you know, we want them to be able to say 6 months, 6 years from now, oh yeah, I'm still using a tool from that
Nice.
workshop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have our room in Putnam, and we run programs there. So we have our flagship program is a 3-module leadership development program, and multiple companies send employees to that. So
Nice.
people will end up taking that program, and there'll be inevitably we always have some folks from manufacturing because they're our biggest industry that we serve, and then a lot of insurance agencies, banks, all sorts of. It's a good mix.
Yeah.
And so all those people take the workshops together for 6 weeks per module. So they get a little. We use the cohort model, so they're really learning a lot from each other, and even about. We get the feedback often. People like hearing about life at other companies.
Oh, okay.
And they
Yeah.
often come in thinking whatever challenge they're seeing in their organization, that it's us. There's something wrong with us. And then
Oop.
they get talking to all these other professionals, and they're like, oh, this is more of a universal challenge that
Yeah.
it turns out everyone else is up against too.
Oh, yeah.
And that gives
Yeah.
them a lot of hope. And then they work together on how to use the workshop tools to, we talk a lot about specific stuff they're up against at work and how this can help
Yeah.
them address it that day and beyond.
Yeah. So you customize trainings to individual companies as well.
Yeah, that's the second way we deliver training. So the first one is the programs in Putnam, and then the second one is private group training, where we'll contract with a company exclusively for them and run a program customized, meaning we take our content and maybe customize the scenarios and exercises.
Yeah.
We
Tweak
might,
it a little bit
yeah,
to apply more
yep.
there.
Or we might take we might create a whole new 3-hour experience for them, pulling from several other 3-hour workshops we run. It really depends on what they're up against and what they need.
Yeah.
And the private group training is great because we'll customize it, align it with organizational goals, so that there's buy-in from upper level management and leadership as to like, here's what we really want to get out of this.
Yeah.
And then we can work with them to pull that through in the weeks after the workshop too. And so private group training, we can also schedule at the company's convenience, which a lot of them love.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about your schedule.
Yeah. So if a company says,
Third shift needs a class.
exactly, we've done that.
Yeah.
At Luce and Company,
Okay. Yeah.
I think we had sessions starting there at like maybe 7:30. It was early, but we were doing it for folks coming off of an overnight shift.
Yeah.
And that's really it's got to be that way because sometimes I'll have companies, they're almost on the hook to do some work, and then it'll get kind of delayed, and they'll apologize.
Okay.
They'll say, oh, I'm sorry, this came, and I say, don't apologize, because if you had it, you clearly needed to delay it, which means if we had done it on the original schedule, it wouldn't have been the best time for your people.
Right. Right.
And you don't want to do this stuff
You don't want to be
at the most
super
inconvenient
distracted.
time.
Yeah.
So I always tell companies, I'm like, it happens when it needs to happen for your company.
Yeah.
And we know things will come up and that might change, but we can be there when you're ready for it.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So do you tend to have a lot of night classes, weekend classes, or
No, we pretty much are daytime, like 9 to 5. Most companies, it's in the it's either like a 9 to 12 or 8 to 11 thereabouts, or anytime between 1 and 5 p.m.
okay?
And so we will move around within that, but because our model is that companies are investing in their employees,
Yeah.
so for the most part everything we do takes place during normal business hours,
Right,
because
yeah.
folks are attending on the clock. It's
Yeah.
part of their job to come take the workshop.
Nice.
So yeah, I haven't had like I said, we customize it. We have done outside the 9 to 5 hours for companies, but for the most part that's what they're looking for, is regular daytime activity.
Yeah, but that makes your work life a little bit more balanceable.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I like going home at the end of the day too. I've got little kids and a wife that I like seeing and
Nice.
spending time with. So
Yeah.
because some people who do what I do, they travel all over. They they like live out of suitcases, and I really I have traveled, and not that I'm unwilling to, but I definitely want to live a 9 to 5, be able to spend time with the family type of lifestyle.
Nice. How many employees do you have?
So I'm the only employee.
Okay.
And then I have a podcast producer I contract with. We'll contract for marketing work. And then my other instructors on the instructional team are all contractors.
Yeah.
So as far as official employees, it's me on the LLC.
Gotcha.
And then so I'm really operating the business and then serving as the kind of lead instructor, curriculum designer, and then managing the other instructors.
Nice. What's your podcast? What's the name of it?
Yes.
Definitely shout it out.
I have a podcast called Better Workdays.
Better
Huh.
work day.
Yeah. So
cool.
the idea there is I take essentially it's like kind of like mini workshops. I'll take something from one of our leadership development workshops and spend, 20 minutes or so. My producer yells at me all the time for going over
Oh yeah.
30 minutes. Yeah. So ideally in the 20 to 25-minute range.
Yeah.
But basically saying, here's a scenario you probably run into at work. Here's a tool or a framework that helps with it, and here's how you might apply it.
Nice.
Yep.
I've caught a couple of episodes. I know that. It's been a while. I forever am addicted to comedian podcasts.
Oh, what do you listen to for comedian podcasts?
Oh goodness, Rogan.
Okay.
Most of the time when he has a comedian on, not when he has like experts on. This doesn't bother. That's not. Theo Vaughn, Story Wars is really good. Who else? Daniel Taj had one out. I was into that one for a while. Yeah, there's quite a few. Your Mama's House with Tom Segura.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, any of those hit?
I know all of those guys.
Yeah.
I don't listen to a ton of. I listen to the Kirk Minahan show.
Man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Familiar.
Barstool Sports.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
He freaks out a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's
That's
just
right.
a
Okay, now
hot
I know who you're
mess.
talking about.
Yeah.
But his show is he's got like a unique relationship with his audience. Because
think they hate
he'll
him.
just bring fans in.
Yeah, I think ultimately they're all just like disgusted by him, but they can't look away because it's a train wreck.
As we feel about many of our friends in life, you're like,
yeah, you can't,
Right.
like I can't look away.
but so that's a comedy podcast I love, and he has fans come on, so I've been fortunate enough to go sit in a few times on the show.
Oh wow.
Yeah, which is very, very cool. He's got a guy on his show named Blind Mike who does comedy podcasts. He's not a comedian, but he does basically his content is all about comedy creators on.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah.
To look into. I've never heard of that one.
But yeah, and a lot of I like Conan O'Brien's podcast. Do you ever listen to
Yeah.
Conan O'Brien Needs
funny,
a
though.
Friend?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously it's kind
Yeah,
of
I've seen a few of his. His is pretty good.
love him or hate him,
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
like Conan O'Brien at
Yeah.
all, you should definitely check that one
I
out.
don't even look at it that way. To me, it's like if I'm gonna laugh, I'm gonna listen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's really all I care about. I don't take offense to any of it. I'm not sold out to any of it. It just to me, I just want to listen to something passive
Mm-hmm.
and laugh more times than I'm not laughing. Otherwise I'm skipping.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's kind of my criteria
it's
too.
kind of I just like there's enough negativity out there in life or whatever. I just want to laugh, want to be in a good mood.
Yeah.
Especially if you're doing something that you don't really want to do. Like today, I was cleaning toilets at my house.
Do you ever feel guilty like you should be listening to realty podcasts in your spare time? Like you got to like maximize your growth and learning at every second.
I definitely tune into them once in a while. I haven't really found a personality that's drawn me in for those. And a lot of it is kind of national criteria, which I think you get more from talking to your local realtors, local people doing business with them. I think you get more out of that
Oh, totally.
than you do out of, and there's been, you said before, as long as we're not doing politics, and I was kind of the same. We're the same way. And a lot of those real estate stuff, they've especially lately, they've been going over the NAR, the change in the laws, and not that Connecticut laws changed that much. They tweaked them, but we've always had a buyer rep agreement that basically put the buyer on the hook for real estate professional fee. So like there wasn't a big change for us, but it got politicized so much. And as like a lot of them were talking about that, I'm like,
Yeah.
all right. So I'll check back in 6 months, see how you
Yep.
guys are at. It's like we already have the new forms. We've already been trained on them, and people already don't care. It's like they're like, yeah, let's buy a house. Okay, I might have to pay you. Okay, yep.
Yep.
Any professional you have working in your life, whether it's consulting or physically putting something in your house or whatever, you have to pay them. That's just the way it is. I don't know why anybody would expect any differently. So some people are, sometimes you're with people as a realtor for 6 months and then you don't get paid until closing. Like and some people don't close. Some people are like, it's too expensive. I'll
Yeah.
call you in 2 years.
Yeah, you put
or
all
whatever.
that work in.
And then it's more expensive in 2 years, so they still don't call you.
It's only going to go up.
What do you do, Kyle?
I work in healthcare IT.
Nobody really knows. He's
Yeah.
Oh,
the
yeah?
Chandler of the group.
Healthcare IT.
Healthcare IT.
Yeah.
Okay.
I work remotely. My company is on the West Coast.
Oh,
We're all remote, actually. Even the CEO.
really?
Yep.
Do you guys do how's the culture?
Well, I'm an introvert, so it's great for me.
Yeah.
But there, so the E in real is just terrifying to me.
Engaging? Oh, so
yeah. Hey, group work. No thanks.
So let me ask you, have there been times professionally where you've had to become more extroverted?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. So what
But even
what drives you to do
my
the podcast in that case? Is part of it like
when we drew
getting
names
out
out
of
of
your
a
comfort zone?
hat, my name was the only one in it. I think I was the only one here actually to watch the drawing as well. No, I mean my work, like I do have to interact with clients and stuff like that. So it's just part of life. But I'm as close to an introverted job, I think, as you can get.
Yeah.
I think as for coming on the pod, I think Kyle saw his buddy struggling hard with the tech part, and he was just like, "I gotta help this."
Well, and
I'm
if
gonna
you
help this
notice,
fool
some
out.
of them I don't say a ton, and some of them I say a lot. It really depends.
Yeah. So I like the fact that we kind of have the running joke that I have him here against his will.
Yeah. Oh, he does great work.
He does.
Thank you. Even if I don't like it, I still do a good job. But yeah, so they're based in. So they started in Oregon, and then they grew, and so then they started hiring nationally, and that's how the majority of the company became remote. There's still a lot of people in Oregon, and then COVID hit, and they said, you know what? Well, I have a build. They only had one building.
Yeah.
I mean, I started in there 2021, and I was like employee 458. We're up to like 1,400 now.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, they're still very, very small and growing exponentially. But the remote path was really the ideal way to accumulate talent that's appropriate, right, and not shrink your pool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And our job can be done remotely easily because our customers are all over the country anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. I get it when you said that, it's a better way to accumulate talent by expanding that to being, I mean, you see it in the trades all the time. Like we just don't have enough plumbers, electricians, carpenters. And then, you talk to plumbers, electricians, carpenters, and they're like, try to hire somebody and train them. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's tough because some people just don't get it, and it's tough labor pool, for a lot of the smaller companies around that I've talked to. So
Yeah. I've definitely heard that from companies too.
how do you, like, since you started training people to now, do you feel that people are harder to train now than they were when you started, or is it kind of the same?
generation based.
Is there? Yeah.
I haven't noticed huge changes in the way people want to be trained. I mean, I guess I've been in the field for about 8 or 9 years total now. And I think it's one of those things. There's all sorts of bells and whistles, right? There's, you can bring in every game, you can add technology, all this stuff. But at its core, I always try to break things down. Like, what are the fundamentals here? And I find it is still people sitting around talking shop to each other
Yeah.
about their work and
Yeah.
us introducing things that can help
Yeah.
and really facilitating the learning, not just like dumping information at them.
Right.
I feel like that's probably something human beings have been doing forever.
Yeah.
You
You
like
know?
the interactive part of things.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm probably never gonna go there.
See, I think you'd have fun because we're not too. We try not to. Well, here's one thing that did surprise me with people is in training, you could take for granted. You look at say you buy a workshop off the shelf, ready to go workshop, and it's going to have a lot of like role playing exercises in it,
Yeah.
and that's one thing I've learned where nobody wants to do that,
No.
Right.
and
Sounds miserable.
Public speaking.
They
Nobody
ki-
likes public speaking.
we need them to do it in some cases, but what I've learned is that's save that for when someone's already come and done some workshops with you and
They're
you're ready to say,
comfortable.
all right, you know what? I
Yeah.
know everyone hates the role playing, but in this advanced workshop, there's going to be more of that.
Yeah.
Because it is good to like role, just try it out. Try
Right.
having, because say you have to have a really tough conversation with an employee at work. You really want the actual conversation to be
Your
the
first
first time
one.
you've
Yeah.
thought it through or run it through. And,
Right. Right.
But I have learned I remember one of the first workshop groups we had through Real Custom Training. It was like I think a 4-part workshop. They were with us for 4 weekly sessions. And there was some role playing exercises. And I remember one of the participants said, it was really good we did that. She said, but if your flyer had specifically said there'd be role playing, she's like, I never would have come.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like her. I
Yeah.
wouldn't have
Yeah.
either.
Yeah, and
And
she's
maybe we
it's
should-
worth
And if
it.
you
Then-
told me that, hey, the next time you come, this is what we're gonna do, I would probably be sick that day.
Yeah, exactly. So it is.
Wow.
It's you
Talk
gotta
about facing your fears.
No need.
you gotta balance pushing people with making them so uncomfortable they're incapable of learning.
Right.
Because
Right.
if you
yeah.
if
yeah.
you
if
make
they're
them too uncomfortable,
riddled
Yeah.
with fear.
yeah, they're not going to get
they-
anything out of it.
Yeah.
So I find even then, we won't do traditional role plays so much as we'll say, "Hey, Kyle, you're partnered up with Matt.
Damn it.
We've all right, Kyle, you can work with me.
Thank you.
We've both given this framework about like, let's say, a conversation you've been feeling like you should have, but you've been avoiding with somebody at work, and you've decided I do need to talk to them about it. You both come to the table with a real world one. We give you a tool to kind of flesh out your plan, and then we say, get together with your partner, tell them what the situation is, tell them what you're thinking about how to approach it.
Is it like a flow chart? Like you're holding, it's like, oh, he said yes. Okay, go then.
No. I mean, those flowcharts exist. You can find them.
Oh, I've built them for
Yeah.
to prevent we used to get a ton of calls from people about issues, and it's like, but they're not issues, they just don't know what they're doing.
Yep.
So we created flow charts for them, and it was like,
say
yeah,
this,
yeah, and
go
it
to
was
this
like- It's
button.
like, have you talked to your supervisor? No, go talk to your supervisor, and you would be shocked at how much of a decrease in call volume we had. It was nuts.
Yeah, that's a great example of training. And
Have you
action.
turned it off and turned it back
Yeah,
on?
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes a company might say, "Oh, we need to train them out of that,"
Mm.
but sometimes it's just a job aid,
Yeah.
like a flowchart checklist.
Yeah.
It's amazing how often the old school ways kind of are the best ways. Like I said before, there's so many. I mean, how many different softwares are there for scheduling your week
Oh, there's a
and
lot.
managing your tasks,
Oh, yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
I talk to hundreds and hundreds of professionals in the workshops about these things, and what I have found is most of them tell me they still just have a notebook, or they each have their own unique system, but most of the time it involves still actually writing things down.
Yeah.
And they might be like me. I write a lot of stuff down. I still use Outlook. I still use a lot of the digital tools, but at its core, I find people really prefer still doing the analog.
Yeah,
method.
we use a digital calendar, which I have moved away from actually having a physical calendar, which was a tough thing. Took a couple of years, and then the to-do list that we share, that I'm still like, I'll still write down a punch list of things like, you'll have like the overall to-do list on the phone, but then like, all right, I'm gonna focus on these 10 items, so I'll write those down and check them off. Like, I still write lists down for pretty much every day.
Yeah, similar.
Every day you'll
Yep.
have work lists and honeydew lists and all the other overall lists and project coordination lists or project on a house list, that kind of stuff. So it's like,
Yeah, the thing there is sometimes when we're trying to develop those, say you're working on your time management organizational skills, it's like you just want someone to say, here's exactly how many lists you need to keep. Keep these 5 lists, these 5 cascading lists, and but it doesn't work that way. But the fundamental, I think, is no matter what system you end up finding for yourself that works, we can rest assured lists are going to be an important part of it.
sure.
Yeah.
So you don't compare
Reminders.
yourself to that person who, you might say, oh, I had a guy in a workshop recently who told us he doesn't write anything down. And he has to remember a ton of stuff. And he just is capable of doing it in his head. And part of me gets really jealous and feels like a dummy because I can't
Like,
keep anything in my head for more than a couple minutes.
yeah.
But then I thought about it, I was like, well, like, even then, he's still using lists. He
Oh,
just
He just
keeps
has them.
the
He
list in his head.
compartmentalizes them
Yeah,
all.
Yeah.
it's just a
It's-
different method of accessing your list. But
Yeah.
so if we're trying to teach people about organization, it's like, what's the fundamental truth? That lists are going to be part of it.
I just like lists
Yeah.
because you can cross things off.
People
Right.
say that
And
all the
then-
time. Yeah, we love.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
we
If it's
love
not on my
scratching
list
stuff
and
off.
I did it, I'll write it down and cross it off.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's what the kids do.
I
I'm
did
like,
this.
these are your chores. You're like, okay, great. Well, I'm about to do this. So
Yeah.
Screw it.
And sometimes adding that stuff's helpful because then that gives you, when you look back at the end of the day and you're
Yeah.
like, why didn't I get this, and this done?
Yeah.
But you've added things. You're like, oh yeah, that's right. I did vacuum. I did do the dishes. I did get stuff done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of me has a lot to do. Like I look back on like when you frame a house, like you just turn around and there's like you got a lot done that day. You can see like 'cause a lot of times you can get so many walls up in a day. So it like there's a noticeable to-do list or noticeable accomplishment where now, it's I answered the phone 15 times and I made 20 calls and I responded to 50 emails, but it still just looks like a phone, a laptop to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, what was I doing? You know what I mean? You can't turn around and say you built anything, but there's still accomplishment there. Just so the lists help make that like a reality too, as to like what you did for the day when you're trying to reflect on your day.
Yeah. You've got some physical evidence.
Yeah. So, yeah, the other thing with having electronic lists and electronic calendar, that's way better when you're working with a team or husband and wife team or your coworkers and stuff like that, or going through the real estate list of selling a house or buying a house, so then everybody can see what they have to do or whatever. So, yeah, lists are a big thing. Keeps us all going, I feel like.
Yeah. Yep. And it's just all about finding what works for you.
Yeah. Do you have like a time management course that people can just sign up for? Do you have any
Yeah.
courses like that people just walk through the door and sign up for?
So yes, in 2026, I'm adding some standalone workshops because up until now, in Putnam and when we work with companies, most of our programs are 4 to 6 weeks of 3 hours per week. So our leadership program, this module, Learning to Lead, these folks will come Tuesday mornings, 9 to 12 for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
In 2026, I'm adding more one-off. You'd come for one workshop, one morning or one afternoon, very skill specific. And managing your time and energy will be one of those. We also have personal productivity workshops, prioritization. Have you ever seen the important urgent scale?
No, I don't think so.
So if you've got important going this way, low to high, and you've got urgent low to high here, then this tool basically has you take everything you do at work
Yeah.
and you start placing everything. All right. That task was low in importance, meaning it didn't really contribute to organizational goals or the big ticket stuff we're supposed to be doing. But I absolutely was required to drop everything and deal with it. It was highly urgent. So you would put everything there, low importance, high urgency in this quadrant.
Gotcha.
And then you've got high importance, high urgency. And then high importance, low urgency ends up being kind of your growth areas.
Huh?
The stuff you're always saying, you know what would be nice?
Hmm.
So I always use this example with
Yeah.
companies. I'm like, if your employees say, we spend a lot of time putting out, let's say, literal fires.
Yeah.
There's literally fires we have to put out. Probably in your high importance but low urgency column, you would have something like organize a fire prevention committee. Figure out what's going on
Buy
with all
a
these
fire
fires.
Yeah.
station.
If everyone is putting out the fire and you're the one saying, hey, you know what? We really need to get that committee together. It's bad timing.
Yeah.
You
Right.
have to put those fires out. So that's just one prioritization tool we use with, could be an entry level employee, could be a manager, supervisor, a CEO. It's one of those tools that's so helpful for everybody,
Yeah.
especially because organizationally, it helps everyone look at it up on a big board and say, geez, you know what? Like, we all agreed leadership development is really important to us, but low urgency. How do we start carving out time together to
To get
be able
that.
to fit that into our schedules?
Yeah.
Because it's, you could have one employee who is trying to carve time out in their schedule for priorities, but if there's not buy-in on those priorities from people around them and above them,
Right. They just keep doing things the way they are always done.
yeah. And
You don't
sometimes
have
it's
that-
like, if you want to tell every employee, hey, take time each week for your leadership development, then you also want to try to help them set up systems of, okay, you will cover for them on Wednesday mornings so that they can go follow through on this priority we're emphasizing to everybody.
Right.
But if you just say something like make time for it every week and don't organizationally try to enable people to do it,
Yeah.
it's
'Cause of the
riskier. It's
low
harder to do.
Yeah, because of the low
Yep.
urgency thing. So yeah.
that's part of why with our model, the best success we're having and what I eventually want to be able to do with all of our client companies, the best success we have are with the clients that have their top leadership on down involved in programs that we run.
Yeah.
So that sometimes you could have a CEO with the people who report to them and the people who report to them all in the same workshop together. Really sends a message to everybody that, learning and growth is a priority at this organization.
Right.
And it means a lot to people to see, the top boss or bosses stand up and say, I am forever working on time management. Or I know I come across as scary sometimes and I'm working on, being assertive but not so scary when I
Yeah.
talk to people. It means
Yeah.
a lot to people to see, they're continuously growing and I need to too. Sometimes there's that assumption that people make it to the top of the org chart, so they must have nothing to learn or they must be done growing professionally or personally. And it's just the reality is the best people at the top are never done. They're always
Right,
working on
right,
stuff,
right.
and really everybody needs to.
Yeah. There's definitely I've met a fair share that I would say are milking their company. Does that make sense? That's like when you just you're not really improving it, you just keep milking it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And you just keep pulling out of it and you're not really putting a lot back into it. And that can be a catastrophe,
Mhm.
because just like the overall maintenance or the low urgency is too low. The urgency on it is too low
Yeah.
to make the improvements or the maintenance improvements.
hmm Yeah, they're
Keeping
probably
up
getting.
with whatever trends you might have to keep up with
Yep.
to stay in business, or to keep clients.
Yeah, and they might be getting the day-to-day results they need to get,
Yeah.
but they may be hurting their chances of long-term success in doing so.
Right.
We talk to people about that a lot. How you could, even for individual managers, if you're only concerned with getting the results you need to get, then that means you can utilize any influence style. You could scream at people, you could berate them, you could physically threaten them. All of that will probably get them to comply and do what needs to get done that day. But I don't know how many good employees are leaving as soon as they can if that's the style that's
Yeah.
allowed. And
Yeah.
you're getting the result that day, but it's not just are you getting it, it's how are you getting it.
Yeah.
And organizations have the chance, we help companies with this to say, here's the behavior that we want out of all our leaders. Like there's no time when you screaming at somebody is okay. We want clear communication. You can discipline them, you can give them bad news, you can give them tough feedback, but you can't ever scream at them.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
you set those standards organizationally, um, and then training that we offer can help make sure people actually, one, know the company means it, that it's, hey, this is what we expect, this is how we want you to lead, and then two, actually gives them the skills to do it. Because
Right.
if you've got a boss who's screaming at people or any other ineffective management style, in my experience, they are most often not bad people. They just don't know the better way yet.
Right. Right.
Right.
If you've only grew up and came up in your career with bosses that had one style, you're very likely to implement that style yourself.
Right. Right.
But if someone comes around and says, "We want you to try a different style," they could learn that as well if they're willing to.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally get that. I mean, I've had fall either met or had the boss that, and they get frustrated because there's a disconnect in communication.
Mhm.
Usually. That's why the conversation escalates to yelling or whatever, and that can be that could be on both the fault of the employee or the employer. If the employee's not listening or not getting it, there's always like you said, there's always a better way, or you have to find out why they're not learning, or why I'm not teaching it the way they can learn it, so that's like, you got to find that middle ground.
Yeah, yeah. The best local leaders that I've met and worked with, when things don't go right, they always look at themselves first,
Mm.
and it doesn't necessarily mean they were the biggest contributor to the outcome, but they always start with what were my contributions here. Like you
Right.
said, could I have given the instructions better? Was I
Right.
unclear here? Should I have followed up? They always start with themselves, and they have um, some skin in the game.
Yeah,
So
that extreme ownership
Yeah.
is always, I don't know, that's always a great way to go about any issue. I
Mhm.
feel like, okay, what can we do? What can I do for this, whatever happened,
Yeah, those are like the magic words. What can I do? We
Yeah.
we say that a lot in the workshops.
Right.
Because sometimes people will understandably and justifiably. Sometimes there's stuff going on at work that is out of our hands. It's all the problems trickling down
Yeah.
from decision makers above us.
Right. Right.
And so sometimes, you get a group of professionals together, those things are going to come up. And it's important for us to always say, talk about those things, and 'cause it's important to recognize that they are challenging for people trying to do their job. But we always bring it back to what can you do or what can I do? Like,
Mm.
yeah, that might be true. They might be making poor decisions up there, but what can you do today and tomorrow about it?
Right.
Maybe you do decide you want to try to influence them in the decision making, or maybe you just find ways to deal with it at your level, or maybe you do both. But we always try to bring people back to taking a proactive outlook and approach of what can I do here.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And then, yeah, documenting it and trying to communicate with them
Mm-hmm.
up, up the level. So, because they don't want an inefficiency. If this is like not working correctly because of the decisions they made, they usually want to know. I would think.
Yeah.
Like if you made a decision about your company and now it's happening, but it's making it worse.
Yep.
Is you want to know. You don't want to. Okay, well, now we're just going to keep doing that for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so.
Yeah, and what gets in the way is we all get naturally defensive. If we make a decision and it doesn't get the result we were after, and someone comes to us and they're pointing out that inefficiency,
Yeah.
we all have a tendency to, it's like, well, you're saying I screwed up, or you're saying I don't know what I'm doing.
Or what
might
did you
not
do
vocalize
wrong?
it, but
Yeah.
subconsciously you're kind of like,
Yeah.
get on the defensive
that
about it.
ego or whatever it is that
Yeah.
that kind of makes that kind of snap in you. Like, oh wait, and
But-
then you got to just feel it out and see. Okay, well, I said to do this. what actually happened.
Mhm.
And well, this actually happened, and then the machine doesn't do that, or it doesn't code that way, or whatever it is. Whatever it is, you just gotta find out where the disconnect is, and learn from it, try and fix it, move on,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah, and like you said, if they want to know about the inefficiency, then if you're the one bringing it to them,
Yeah.
make it all about that. Don't frame it as you decided and
Right.
then
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
Frame it as
Yeah.
just here's the result we're dealing with, and
Yeah.
it's inefficient.
And that's really great if you're training people to communicate like that.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
that's probably making things so much easier in the workplace.
Yeah, and again, and that's why I mentioned it. We love working with leaders at all levels
Yeah.
because then that gives us a chance in a scenario like that. We can work with the lower level managers or individual contributors about when you need to go up the ladder and you need to point out bad results from a decision your boss made. We can help you do that.
Right.
But then we can be working with the boss too to say, hey, here's how to get better at being less defensive when people bring things to you.
Yeah.
And it's really just reminding everyone of what's the common goal you all have.
Right. Right.
And that's why, like
yeah,
you
that's
said,
a big deal.
they want to know about inefficiencies. Yeah, because
Yeah.
they have the same goal that you do of
Right.
doing the best you can for the company and getting the best results. So
Yeah.
as much as both parties can just keep that in mind, it'll help
Yeah.
things go smoother.
My wife worked for a company, local manufacturer that was that. Everybody had a hand in that piece of product, whatever
Mhm.
it was, and serving the customer with it, and it just very team oriented. And like you go to their 5-year anniversary dinners that they would have, and there's people being congratulated on 30 years, 34 years. There was somebody there that was 34 years when the company was 35. Like that's incredible to
Yeah.
retain an employee from the very beginning when it was like, a very small company of like 3 people and they're still all together. You know what I mean? That's incredible. And yeah, she works for a really great company. So, which was
Yeah.
Putnam Plastics.
Oh, okay.
She worked there.
Nice. Yeah, Putnam Plastics is they're one of our biggest clients.
Oh, good.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
That's
they have a
awesome.
great they do a lot of I learned a lot about them working with them, and they have so many great programs for employees.
Yeah.
And a good culture that values employees.
Right. Right.
And they value, investing in their people, which is what we help them do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and they've got a gym, a wellness center.
Yep.
They have a wellness professional. I'm sure that's not her exact title,
Yeah.
but
Sarah.
yeah, Sarah. Yeah,
Yeah.
she helps people with different
Gus's and-
things, and
Yeah.
yeah, and I love asking people in workshops, things like, well, why are all of you with your company? Like, all of you could have quit your jobs today. So tell me
Right.
what it is about your company that keeps you coming back every
Nice.
day. And
Yeah.
they inevitably, their employees mention all the time how they feel like the company cares about them and
Yeah.
helps take
They feel
care of them.
valued.
Yeah, that's what people want. I mean, good leadership, I think, is balancing the need to get results with the need to care for the people that are getting them for you.
Right.
And if that scale's going to tip one way or the other, let it tip a little bit towards the people, I would say. But
Okay.
for the
Yeah,
most
yeah.
part, it's got to be a balance.
Yeah.
And so that's really, balancing that out means you got to care about the people, which means you got to care about how you talk to them, how you communicate, just basically how do we treat each other at all levels, in all directions, as we go about the business of working together.
Yeah. 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 They got an awesome thing going on over there. So I wish them all the best.
Yeah.
And they keep growing. There's a reason for that.
Mhm.
So that's awesome. And that's great that you're one of their trainers. They utilize your services. That's great.
Yeah, they they're big with our level up leadership program that we run.
Nice.
And I know that they have told me they really value the mixed group stuff we do in Putnam. They like their employees hearing about the perspective of other companies and other industries, and they're big proponents of that style.
What is your favorite thing to train on? Like, what's your favorite one to run?
Favorite workshop?
Yeah, favorite course or whatever.
I really like the I like my I think my growth mindset workshop the most.
Okay.
And it might be because it's the first one I created from scratch myself.
Oh wow. Okay.
And growth mindset's basically, you kind of asked about it earlier when you said if you've got one learning style,
Yeah.
can you really learn another one? That's kind of the idea that you can learn another one is
Part of that.
encompasses growth mindset.
Right.
Where you look at say you're born shy. Can a fundamentally shy person learn to be more outgoing?
Well, Kyle's on the podcast now.
Yeah, Kyle said he's had to
I
become
can't
more
hide,
extroverted.
though.
Uh,
I
our-
think you can.
yeah,
Yeah.
our fixed mindset tells us, no, like you're born that way. Tiger can't change its stripes, that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
to some degree, that's true. Like growth mindset doesn't mean if I believe in myself and work really hard over the next year, I could like beat LeBron James 1-on-1 next year.
You might.
I mean, maybe if he's hurt or very sick, and yeah, sure, it's possible. But growth mindset means more like, hey, if you've always avoided basketball because you think you just suck at it, as if you're born with some capacity for it and you don't have it, it's like, I don't know. Then if you get invited to go play pickup and instinctively you go to say no, growth mindset actually would tell you like, yeah, say yes to that.
Yeah.
See if you can get better at it if you put the effort in. And in the workplace, we see this with, the old saying of, oh, so-and-so's not leadership material, where people sometimes feel like being a leader, you're either born with it or you're not. They'll literally say leaders are born, not made.
Mm.
That's a fixed mindset way of looking at things.
Yeah.
Where you say, yeah, you're born with a capacity for leadership and you can't really change that. I don't care how much work you put into it. Growth mindset says, yep, you're born with some natural capabilities and capacities and personality traits, but you can develop skills and qualities that don't come naturally to you if you put the effort in.
Yeah. Yeah. Kyle and I talk about this quite a bit about the introvert extrovert thing.
Mm-hmm.
Up until about, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, I had never even thought of myself as an extrovert or anyone else as an introvert. I didn't really even use those terms.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And when he brought them up to me, I always question him like, okay, so if you're an introvert and I invite you over for dinner, is that really like painful for
Yeah.
you?
Are you mad at me?
It's like, is that bad? Because I feel like when we all get together, we're all relaxing and hanging out. Like, I don't think of it as like a.
It's not a
Like,
chore.
It depends who else is there. I guess.
Yeah. If you're there, yeah, probably. But
But I have just come to this conclusion that like, yeah, there are definitely people that lean extrovert or lean introvert, but it helps both to be acquainted with traits from both sides.
Totally,
So
yeah.
you can go back and forth and being more flexible in that way as to how, I don't know, I just feel like it creates a better balance in your life if you can go out and hang out with friends once in a while.
I mean, do you know why introverts even talk to other people? Because they're adopted by extroverts.
Who put them in situations where they have to?
Exactly.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. I don't know. Mark Norman has a funny bit where he's like, "Who's the extroverts? Who are the introverts in this crowd?" And they're like, "That's not how it works." Nobody wants to raise their hand.
It's not a
So, yeah, and that's one where I've read I like throwing topics out there and just soliciting feedback from the participants. What do you think of this? Let's go. Let's talk about it. But I did read about and it did frame it as like, remember introverts, extroverts. So that got me to incorporate more before you ask for people to respond, give them 5 minutes to organize their thoughts,
Oh,
which would be more of an introvert activity, but also is good for the extroverts to give them the chance to act differently, to try out, oh, okay, I've got to just be still and silent and
So the introverts always get their way.
but I still make the introverts in some exercises have to act extroverted.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, one style is going to be natural, one's not going to be, but you can still throw yourself into the other one.
Yeah.
even though it's probably not going to feel right. Like if you, all right, cross your arms. All right, now cross them, but put
Yeah.
the other arm on top. Does that feel weird?
Yeah.
Well, not really.
It feels weird for me.
I,
Yeah.
I I sit like this a lot, and I flip them
Oh, you're
Oh.
a flip. Oh, okay.
Is it-
So you've got
because it'll like either get like uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
so
or
you're
it's just like
balancing
crossing your legs or whatever. It's like you switch them after a while, otherwise something falls asleep.
See, we for me when it feels weird, it made me realize I never. If you would ask me how I cross my arms, I would have had to really think about it. I
Right.
didn't even
Oh,
know
yeah, yeah,
I was
yeah.
in the habit of just
Right.
Yeah.
every single time I do it, it's like this. It's never like that.
If you had asked me, is it left over right or right over
Yeah.
left, I wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
But I do know that I sit in that position a lot for whatever reason, and I flip like every 20 minutes.
Yep.
Or I flip every so often. So,
But that feeling of breaking your pattern that maybe you didn't even
Right.
know you had, it's just that it's a naturally uncomfortable thing.
Right.
So, with professional growth, that's why there's the kind of cliche, the get comfortable being uncomfortable.
yeah,
Mhm.
In a lot of ways it's true.
I love that.
Not that
I'm
you
big exposure therapy type of person.
Yeah. Oh, what have you done any like personal
Trying foods, like if you don't like it at first, I'll try it over and over again until
Yeah.
like okay, especially if it's healthy. And like one thing I definitely noticed was when you went from grocery store meat to locally grown meat, they have a very different taste to me. And I didn't really like it at first. Like I was like, oh, so we have to like get away from the
Yep.
dyes or whatever else they're putting in it because your palate is accustomed to that. You know what I mean? And like, okay, we got to eat healthy, so we're gonna train myself to like that stuff. So like, food has been a big one for me. And now I'll eat anything, which is not good either. But but I'm getting better at that and being more picky about like the foods that I eat. so
Yeah.
that you're putting more nutritional food in rather than to try and make it more of like this is a fuel source, not like every time you're socializing doesn't mean you have to have a whole meal. That's a big thing too. So
Yeah, so you got to really reframe your thinking around it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's a lot of what we work with people a lot on that too. There's so much of it where there's the skills and the action you need to take, but then there's the thinking behind it.
yeah,
Growth mindset's one of those where if we've got someone taking leadership development training with us, if they have a fixed mindset idea of themselves, if they truly believe I'm just not leadership material, then it doesn't matter how good our program is. They're probably not going to succeed as a leader because they're just forever waiting to confirm to themselves what they think is already true, which is that they're not leaders. So if they go through our leadership program and in the first few weeks, no one's listening to them, their employees aren't respecting, if they run into challenges, they're all the more likely to be like, see, I knew it. I knew I could take the training, but I knew I couldn't do this. Whereas growth mindset would get them to say, okay, this isn't natural to me. I'm having trouble with the employees, but the goal here is learning and getting better.
yeah,
Therefore, let me take all these difficulties and re-examine them as, gold mines of information for me to apply and get better. And their goal then is, it's like a two-part goal. Yeah, you want to earn the respect of your team and get the results you need. But just learning how to do that is a goal in and of itself. And if you just focus on the learning, it'll help you get to that kind of bigger, scarier goal. You'll be more likely to succeed if you make learning the priority.
right. Yeah, definitely. Like I can remember when I was older when I got my first four-wheeler, and it was a standard, and it was it was the one that was available and that I could afford. And I remember my buddies just saying like, "You bought it was like a 400EX Honda, so it wasn't really a beginner four-wheeler, but I had never owned one, and I had talked to a couple other people that like you could buy like a smaller one and get used to it, but you're probably gonna not want it anymore after like a year. So like that was one thing I had to focus on, like making sure I'm riding it. It's not taking me to the right. You're in control, shifting your weight, and also just the clutch and shifting gears was totally new to me. I'd never had a handlebar clutch. I'd never, I had driven standard trucks, but there's a handlebar clutch and one down, five up. It was just like all this stuff. And like my buddies were like, yeah, you've come a long way. It was like you were learning that. And then like when I had someone else try and learn on my quad, they were like, Matt, you had a different mindset. You wanted to learn that no matter what it took, even if we had to replace the clutch 4 times, you were learning it, and that was your priority. So it's a little different when someone's like casual, like, oh, let's take them out for a Saturday, see how they do, that kind of thing. Where I had already bought, I had invested the money. I was like, I'm not going to learn how to do this.
Yep.
It's not going to sit in the garage.
Yeah, it was an absolute necessity.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I've always attacked stuff. When I started working for Woodstock Builders, they had a list of tools. I went out and bought them. I don't know. I could have gotten fired. It was easy to get fired, on a job site if you don't do the right thing or whatever. But I was like, I got invested first, so there was like no backing out. I don't know. That's kind of how I was always been with learning stuff. Kyle decided to take the summer off. I had very little to do with what he does over there, and I said, all right, write me a punch list. And I learned how to do that part.
Nice.
So, I could keep the podcast going through the summer. And then I had to learn how to train people to use a switcher because I had the guest hosts in his stead. So it was like another thing, just like, all right, I have to deal with this. So we're just going to learn it and go.
Yeah, and it's like you said before, teaching other people reinforces your own learning. We use the phrase a lot, learn and help learn.
Yeah.
It's kind of like good leadership values where you're forever learning yourself and helping other people learn.
Yeah.
And if you keep that cycle going, it's just you're going to get better in each of those areas the more you do them. That's why, yeah, training people is a great. We'll often encourage people, if you're training an employee, as one of your last checks or assessments of how they're doing with it, have them train you or watch them train someone else on it.
Yeah.
And it
good
really locks things in for people.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. Was there a question?
No.
Okay. I didn't know. We're live, so
Yeah.
Sometimes we get comments or questions,
No.
which we welcome. So, where do you see the future of real custom training going?
I would like to be a wholly regional business, meaning I'd like to have sufficient clientele to serve primarily northeastern Connecticut and maybe certainly Rhode Island, Massachusetts, maybe New England, but I really want it to be a locally focused. We're in Putnam, but I consider us northeastern Connecticut's leadership development provider.
Nice.
Because I think it's there's a need for it out there. There's the business argument for it where people get promoted to supervisory management positions typically because you're good at your job. And being a supervisor or manager is a whole new job. But more often than not, and I went through this personally, a lot of companies don't provide fundamental training to supervisors and managers. You kind of get put into the role and it's trial by fire. Maybe you've got a mentor, someone looking out for you, but there's not a comprehensive, hey, here's how you give feedback. Here's how you deal with someone who's really pushing back on you. Here's how you have difficult conversations, delegate, all that, the fundamental tools. Unfortunately, too often people don't get those tools to begin with. So, first and foremost, that's the biggest challenge I want to help companies with, is providing that fundamental training for all new supervisors and managers, but working with companies enough that eventually they've got a cohesive philosophy and model and framework for the way they want people to lead others in the workplace, and we can help them facilitate that.
Yeah.
And I'd like to be, primarily in northeastern Connecticut and beyond. And we've been growing since we started. We have a lot of companies that we continue to do work with. And we have a lot of, it's over 95% of people who have taken workshops with us have said it was worth the time, they would recommend it to others, and that it had tangible benefits on their ability to do their job.
Nice.
All the things that, I think a lot of people, when they think of corporate training, um,
When's lunch? When's the free beer?
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. So we get,
And you don't want that.
our evaluations and our testimonials from people are, um, what might sound at times like we're making it up, because it's so hard to achieve in corporate training that people have that kind of
Yeah.
feedback. And
They actually engage. They actually
Yeah.
like it. They actually get something out of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm tough at, I'm not the best salesperson in terms of, I always feel like I'm always hesitant to brag, but then
Yeah.
with the business you have to,
You got to let them know somehow.
yeah,
And
our
then-
evaluations from people are just through the roof, and we do
Nice.
every single program we do, we give a workshop evaluation. So anyone who has ever learned with us has the opportunity to give us their anonymous feedback about how it went.
Nice.
And when we do private group training with a company, their employees all fill out the evaluation, and I give the company a verbatim report of exactly what their people said, so that they know too. They don't just hear from me, oh yeah, it went well.
Right.
They
Right.
hear from, here's the 30 people who took it, and they're all telling you it was well worth the time.
Right.
And then they get engaged and they want to do more of it.
Yeah.
But it takes time with the companies to really, like I said, first we usually end up starting with new supervisors and managers, and then as we work with the company more and more, we can start running workshops for people at all levels of the organization and helping them really, it's really a key tool in developing their culture,
Right.
which I know can be an elusive thing to people. It's kind of abstract of how do you
Yeah.
do it. It can be done, and that's what we help companies with.
Yeah. That's a big deal, I think.
Yeah.
It can mean whether you're keeping good employees, or you don't want to be a stepping stone.
Mhm.
You don't want to be the company that, they're getting experience just so they can move on.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound great anyway. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I think a lot of people like to be. I can't imagine changing brokers at this point. To change my brand and go somewhere else just sounds like a nightmare to me.
Mhm.
Paperwork, tech wise, setting up profiles, all of that. Like I would much rather have, if I wasn't happy at Remax, which I am, but if I wasn't, I would much rather have more of a culture shift in the business than actually go to another broker.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
It does. It does.
And I know it probably is easier for an employee to just go from one company to another, but for me, I'm just more of like, I'd rather make it better where I'm at. And that's kind of like this podcast. Like I don't want to move. I never want to be out of Northeast Connecticut. I love, going to a coffee shop and knowing, a couple of people there or whatever, and knowing everybody in the neighborhood and that kind of stuff. I don't want to start that over somewhere else.
Were
But-
you always like that growing up around here? Did you think you'd?
So I grew
Embrace
up with a
it.
big family, and we always visited. So it was like we were always, we were at my grandmother's on Friday. We were at, Christmas and New Year's. They all had these traditions and stuff, and we were always had, whenever something good happened in our family, like birthdays and holidays and graduations, like everybody was together. Whenever anything bad happened, we were all together
Mhm.
again. So to me, that's more of the culture made it great. It doesn't matter that we pay a lot of taxes in Connecticut. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what politics are going on in Connecticut that you may not like. You don't, you know what I mean? You have the culture here. And that, to me, like, instead of complaining or leaving Northeast Connecticut, like, let's make it better. Let's change the culture. Let's have every small business championing every other small business. That's more of what I'm about.
Yeah, and I share that with my business. Part of why I want to be local is because, if Real Custom Training can have an influence on people's day-to-day experience at work for the better, and that's why we call the podcast Better Workdays, because to me, at the core, that's what is all the work we do is about, helping people create better work days for themselves and other people. And
Right.
supervisors and managers have a huge influence over that. but I want to do it in this area because this is my hometown community. And
Mhm.
if I'm going to start a business and try to help a region develop its leadership workforce, then I want it to be northeastern Connecticut.
Yeah.
Even if, like I said, a lot of people in my role, they're living out of suitcases, but for me, it's I really want it to be a business
Yeah.
for this region. The
Yeah.
same way we're known for manufacturing. I'd like in 5 to 10 years for northeastern Connecticut, I'd like us to help contribute to it having a reputation for, yeah, that's a land of great bosses,
Right.
you know.
Nice.
And
Love it.
we've got programs too where ideally in 5 to 10 years, I want to be able to help more companies be able to tell young people that they're trying to recruit the next generation into the workforce that there's no bad bosses here. And we can give them a way to define that. Like I said before, it's all about helping them define how your people want to lead and how they want to be led.
Hmm.
And then we can come in and help them develop a core competency model of what it looks like to actually lead that way. We can integrate it into their performance review system with a 360-degree program so everyone's giving formal feedback for people in leadership positions. And in doing that, you can really help ensure that there's no bad apples,
Yeah.
because it's all well and good for a CEO to say, here's how we want to do it here. But if you don't actually have the systems in place to enforce that,
Right.
then it's just hopes. You're hoping people will get on board. And I've seen it, if you've got some leadership members who don't want to get on board with that way of doing things, it's very difficult to get them to change
Yeah.
or to get them to consider opportunities else, but one leader not buying into the desired culture can be a huge impediment to it. And it can drive people away,
Yeah.
which I've unfortunately seen where an organization will be great, but there's just one person on leadership team who's just doing it their way, and it's not the way people want to be led, and it leads to good people leaving.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
we have worked with some companies on developing competency models and performance review programs that can help ensure you've got some teeth if you have someone who really
Yeah. Showing that
doesn't
the
want to do
method
it
works.
the way your culture calls for it.
Yeah. Nice. I love it. What do you look for when you're hiring an instructor?
So that's a good question. Not just teaching experience. In fact, sometimes I've had people approach me who have been academic teachers, high
Yep.
school or college level,
Yeah.
and that to me doesn't necessarily mean they would be the right kind of instructor for us.
Okay.
Because for us, it's got to be relevant, engaging, actionable, and lasting. So, like Rocky Blunt on the instructional team, my mentor, he has a PhD in human resources. He's got, from I think it's from Yale. It's from one of the impressive. I think
Yeah.
it's Yale.
It's Ivy
He'll be
League.
mad at me if I think it's Yale. But but then I've got some instructors that have no college degree, but the thing they have in common is they're able to teach in a way that hits that relevant, engaging, actionable, and lasting mark. Whereas sometimes you could give me somebody who's been a professor for 40 years. What kind of professor were they? If they were the typical, hey, listen to my lecture for 3 hours, then
Yeah.
they're not necessarily going to work for us.
Right.
So yeah, it's hard to quantify it. Other
Yeah.
than I definitely need to see them how they would teach something,
Yeah.
and just talk to them about their philosophy about how people learn and how to run a workshop, and it'll be pretty clear to me pretty quickly if they would work with what we do.
Nice. I was hoping you would give this answer just like that.
Oh, good.
I was like, he doesn't want a cookie cutter
No.
anything.
Nope.
Anything.
Nope.
Because the more instructors that you have that are more relatable to the grander part of society, you know what I mean? Like, especially like you love that growth class, and Rocky, you said he loved the leadership class
Oh yeah, and
or
train the trainer.
train the trainer.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you get them that they're really passionate about it, they might not even be good at teaching the other stuff, but
Mhm.
they, for whatever reason, relate and really like that, that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get it. Like it's really like come on in and find out.
Hmm.
Maybe it's not for them. Maybe they'll try it and not like it. So, but that's awesome.
Yeah, because it's really about the learners.
Right.
Can you give them an experience that makes them say, this was worth my time?
Right.
I'm glad I took the time to come to this, because what we do is disruptive. If you're running a workshop with real custom training from 9 to 12, that's 3 hours that people aren't doing their job.
Yeah.
There's no way around it, you
Right.
know? And when you try to find ways around it, like with, mass scaled asynchronous online classes and things like that, I just don't think it's still missing that engaging element. It's not allowing people to learn from each other as much, but it is easier and faster. Um, but for us, you've really got to get people in there and give them the time to talk about these ideas and practice putting them into use.
Yeah. Yeah. Giving someone something of value
Hmm.
is like the biggest part of what you do.
Yeah.
So
Yep. So it's as an instructor, that can be a little scary, where, like I said before, how sometimes, you want someone to say, here's exactly how many lists to keep in life. Here's how to manage your time. This is it. Just do this. And as instructors, I can understand the natural instinct to say, okay, um I've got my agenda for this workshop. I know exactly how it runs, and every time I do it, I can just roll it out again. I get it. It's easier, but it's not the best thing for the learners. And,
right.
and so as an instructor, sometimes you kind of do go into some workshops where you've customized things for them, and you're like, is this
Yeah.
going to hit the way we think it's going to hit?
Right.
And you might say, let's build in 40 minutes for a great spirited debate, but then it doesn't happen often. But what if 3 minutes into it, you're like, oh my God, they've got nothing else to say.
Yeah.
I wanted to initiate this spirited debate, but they're tired today or whatever it might be.
Yeah. Yeah.
A situation like that might make you say, yeah, we'll fill that 40 minutes with lecture, but you just have to build it in and see how
Yeah.
it goes.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. Or they're all agreeing. They're not debating.
Yeah. Yep.
Like,
Yeah, which can happen too, especially if the boss is in the room.
yeah.
Like I said before, we like to have people of all levels take some workshops together,
Yeah.
but it's still important at times to definitely have people in a room without their direct supervisor,
Right.
or vice versa, the direct supervisor without the direct report. So sometimes with companies, we'll run a mix of things where it's everyone together, and then things where we want to be able to say, you could speak more freely in here.
Yeah. Um. Well, man, I love it. I love what you're doing. I love the whole outlook,
Oh, thanks.
the
Yeah.
future. Yeah, everything that you're going over. I wish you all the best in this. And I wanted to ask, if you don't mind, um, how did it feel to do stand up comedy?
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they had a comedian there. I don't know if you want to go over the event. What you
Yeah.
guys raised money, right? That was
Yeah.
like a,
It's for Northeast Opportunities for Wellness now.
oh, okay.
And so they started a fundraiser 2 years ago where it was like basically amateur comedy night. They got, I think, 10 of us. Everyone was either most people were local business owners, or just local business people known in the
Yeah.
community somewhat. Um, but the idea was basically like, let's get together and watch people try to do stand up. So everyone had to fill 10 minutes.
Ooh.
10 minutes.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I think it was 10 minutes.
You
And I went,
posted yours.
I went
Not
over.
everybody did, but you posted yours. I watched. I was like,
yeah, I was lucky that,
That's
that
so
we
awesome.
had video of it. And yeah, so they Scott Higgins hosts it. He's a local professional comedian.
yeah,
So I was fortunate the first year. I won an award from Scott. Like he judges it.
oh nice.
Yeah, it was great. It was I do public speaking for a living, and I've always loved comedy,
yeah,
and I'm not Jekyll and Hyde, but professionally, I'm very kind of buttoned up.
Oh, you said that you were the driver,
I,
right? You
I,
kind of
actually,
opened with that.
I'm more of like a expressive analytic,
Okay.
but being a driver is one of like my growth area where it
Okay.
doesn't come naturally. I have to like work at it.
Yeah.
So yeah, professionally, I'm like I don't swear at work, but personally, I swear a lot. Personally, like I'm always joking. Professionally, I have to like rein that in sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, so I've always wanted to try stand up, and I feel like in my personal life, I've always been doing stand up because it's like I've got stories I'll tell or bits I'll do, and it's like, oh, I've never done this one with these friends. Let me
Right.
try it
Right.
out on them, and
Yeah.
so yeah, I jumped at the chance to do the fundraiser, and I don't remember the amount, but they raised a lot of money that
Did
first
they?
year and second
Nice.
year. They sold out the Bradley.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
It's coming up again, January. I want to say 17th, but let me look. That's probably like a Wednesday, and I'm way off.
At the Bradley again.
At the Bradley again. Oh yeah, January. So I think the next one is January 17th. It's definitely January 2026. Um, it's awesome. Like it's last year. You guys must Linda Colangelo. Do you know
If
Linda?
I saw her face.
Yeah,
like,
you would
great.
definitely
Yeah.
you would definitely recognize Linda. Linda was with the she was the NDDH. Like I'm probably not getting her title exactly right, but she was like the public face of the Northeast District Department of Health for a long time. She
Okay.
did all their ads, all their outreach, but she won the comedy contest last year.
Okay.
She did a great job. So every year they've been bringing a few of us back from that first year, and then a crop of new people too.
Nice.
So that'll be the premise again this year. So it's like it's funny to just go and be like, oh, that's my kid's pediatrician doing stand up. Bob Fournier did it. Bob's Gilman and Vlad.
Oh,
So
yeah.
he's an
yeah.
undertaker.
Yeah. He's
So he
great.
yeah, he said he
That was-
used 40 years of Undertaker material. He used it all
Yeah.
that night. Every joke he'd ever
Yeah.
had about
I've-
the job.
I've talked to him at a couple of different PBA business after
Yep.
hours or whatever. Those networking events. He is a funny guy.
Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah, so I would definitely encourage people to one check out the event.
Mm.
It's a lot of fun, and it now helps kids. Their original mission was helping kids and their families pay to play sports, and they still do that. But now they do a ton of like social emotional, kind of the same stuff I teach, honestly, but with the younger generation.
Yeah.
So that they'll put me out of business someday. I'll have a whole new generation
Well,
coming
they're
into the
training your
workforce. It's
instructors
like,
for you.
we're emotionally intelligent. We don't need you, Andy. But yeah, they do a lot, and it all goes to them. So I would tell people check it out. And then if you're a local business person, and if Jen Bratowski at Chase Graphics organizes it, and if she asks you, or if you want to, tell her you'd be interested, I would tell anyone like to, especially
Give it a
Kyle
try.
should do it.
Zero.
It'd be a great growth opportunity.
Zero chance. No
'Cause,
growth needed here.
It's one of those like I always say it's literally the stuff of nightmares.
Yeah.
Of like
Yeah.
getting up.
I probably
there
will have one tonight.
and vomiting. So it's kind of, to me, it's like if you take that risk, you get a lot of growth out of it.
Yeah.
I always tell people, especially I do public speaking training and workshops too, and I'm like, you really do just have to be like a professional comedian in the sense that well, you must know this, like when they build their acts, it means they're on the road sucking,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
doing an awful,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
working it out on
Yep.
stage, like
Yeah, they write a joke,
Yeah.
but that's just the very, very, very beginning.
Yep.
That's planting a seed. That's it. And then you got to go and work, say it in front of a crowd, see how they react. And, am I saying it right? Am I, they got to do all these critiques.
Yeah.
And then they build, like when you said 10 minutes, I was like, oh my goodness. Cause they're comedians, professional comedians, they'll go club to club getting their material down, and then they'll start touring with it. And then, sometimes it's a year, sometimes it's 2 years of a tour. And then at the end of the tour, they do a special. And then to them, that material is burnt. So now it's gone to the market.
Yeah.
So now they got to start over. And for them to even get another 10 minutes, they call it the first tight 10, it's like, it's a lot of work. So when you said you did 10 minutes, I was like, wow, that is a long time on stage.
Yeah, and we what do we see, right? We see the special.
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
people just see the special or
Which
they
lends,
see it when they're on tour.
yeah,
And
and
it's pretty well done.
it can lead us to the conclusion, and this is also a growth and fixed mindset thing where you see that special and you're like, Chris Rock just has it.
Right.
I could never
Yeah.
do that. Some people are just, they can get up there and do that. You don't see them
open
going
mic
club to
night.
club and
Yeah.
bombing and all the
Yeah.
work that goes. So that's something we talk about with growth mindset for professionals, is like, if you're comparing yourself to someone else, just ask yourself, are you seeing their final show?
Right.
Or have you considered how much effort went into looking so effortless?
Yeah.
So don't hold yourself to this expectation that you should also be effortlessly talented, because
Right.
nobody really is. Even the most talented people are still putting a lot of work in.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, you could, if you put the work in too, you could also get up on stage and give it a shot.
Yeah. Wow. It's inspiring.
You should do it, Matt.
It's on the bucket list. I don't know if that's the venue for me.
I'm gonna tell Jen to.
Please do.
Yeah, me and Kyle are
Yeah.
gonna.
I'll be the front row.
Yeah, that's the idea. And it's funny too, because you.
It's nice that you have Higgins helping, right? Doesn't he help you write jokes?
No, Scott.
Oh, no.
There's some of us will get together as a group, and you know what? I shouldn't say. I don't know if anyone has asked Scott. I bet he
wow.
would,
I
because
thought for sure
that
people
night
would
he's
get
like
help.
he's like super helpful, gives you great feedback. He's like guiding you through the performance. But in the lead up, I bet I've talked to him a few times now. I bet if we asked him to come to one of our practice sessions, he would.
So you guys
help us
got in a
out.
group and you wrote that 10 minutes that you did.
Yeah, like me, Eric Gould, Bob Fournier, and Gary Osby from Winnie. And I don't know if I'm leaving anyone else out.
I think Amy Burnett was in one of the lineups.
Amy Burnett was in it, but she didn't get together. So I was talking about those of us that
when
got together and kind of workshopped our stuff.
Yeah.
I bet Scott would. Yeah, I bet if we asked him, he would.
He would have been at
He
the
would come help.
workshop.
Or if you signed up, any of us who have done it before would be more than happy
Yeah.
to sit down and be like, "Here's how we went about getting to the 10 minutes."
I love it, man. That's awesome. That is cool. Yeah.
I think he's hesitant, but there
Get
you
the
can see-
wheels turning.
Yeah,
So I envisioned, like, I wanted to do the bucket list as a bucket list. One of my things was to try stand-up comedy at an
oh,
open
you
mic,
gotta do it then.
but I envisioned it being like miles and miles away from anywhere I knew, from anyone I knew.
No, this would be
'Cause
the
I
exact opposite of that. We're gonna
'Cause
it's gonna be
I've
very close
listened
to
to it.
home and full of people you know exclusively.
Including hecklers.
yeah. Sounds
Actually,
awful.
the crowd's very supportive.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
no, honestly,
well,
every
you're
year
going
people
in,
are
they
like,
know
"Are
you're
they
an
gonna-
amateur."
are they gonna
I
heckle
get it.
us?" But it's
Yeah.
funny when you do it. When you'll learn this when you do it, Matt. You'll find out in a couple months. You see friends and family, and part of you's like, "Oh, thanks for coming out to support me," and the other part of you's like, "50% of you is here because you think I'm gonna be a wreck up there. Like,
So-
you're here for the train crash, aren't you?" And
There was actually Nikki Glazer was saying, it takes a little while for you to realize that almost everybody in the crowd wants you to do well.
yeah,
And a lot of people don't realize that. Like, you look at yourself in the mirror and you're picking out every little thing or whatever. Or if you look at yourself on video, you're picking out every little thing because you know what you were going through. But the people in the crowd just want to laugh.
yep,
And they and I am that consumer of comedy. Like, I am not offended. I want to laugh no matter what joke you're saying. Like, I'm looking to laugh. I'm not looking to, oh, that sucks. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not looking for, oh, that offended me or anything like that. I'm looking for it to make me laugh. So I'm more apt to laugh at it, even if no one else is laughing. Sometimes I'm the one laughing.
yeah, yeah. As long as it's smart. Like I said, I'm a
See,
big fan
there's
of
my
Kirk.
downfall.
No, but I mean, like,
That's smart.
even on the Kirk
You lost
Minahan
me.
show that I love, like, You could put some of the stuff said on that show in black and white and be like, Andy, are
Oh.
you really defending someone saying that?
Yeah.
And it's so tough to explain. Like,
Right, when
the
it's
comedy
written
is
down.
it's satire.
Yeah.
It's I know that's.
Yeah.
I always tell people with that show, I'm like, if you like Mel Brooks, '90s Howard Stern, South Park, and Seinfeld, it's like all of those kind of blended together.
That's quite a mix.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
That's
it's-
all different comedy.
yeah. But
For
I always
sure.
tell people that because I'm like, I don't want to recommend it, and then you come back and say, I can't believe the things they said. I'm like,
Right.
so I'm telling you, if you like all those other things, you'll be down with this. If not,
Yeah.
you know, if South Park offends you, might not be the podcast for you.
Right. Yeah. Wow. That's intriguing. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah, we'll get you up there.
But yeah, I was thinking I'd just go do like 2-3 minutes on a stage somewhere on the other side of Connecticut.
All right, I'll find one.
Put my tail between my legs and go home.
What about like Stomping Ground? You could do open mic at the Stomping Ground.
I don't know. I've looked at a bunch. Like even Chubby Dog does. Their open mic has kind of become a karaoke night, but he's like, I'll give you 5 minutes to do comedy act or whatever. So I was like, oh.
Does he do that on Saturdays?
Yeah, Saturday.
Okay.
They're big.
Yeah,
shout
I
out
actually
to
was
Chubby
there
Dog.
for. We went to. I turned 40 this weekend.
Oh,
Good for
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Congratulations.
No,
Welcome.
Yeah.
did it hit you guys?
Not
I
really.
cried a little. No.
I've never had an age like feel different. 40 just.
Oh, it hit.
Wait till
Yeah,
you forget how old you are.
Yeah,
Then you
yeah,
have to
yeah.
count
I'm
back.
gonna do the math.
But so we went to New York Pizza for my birthday. Us and some friends and our kids, and then ended up at Chubby Dog. But it was it was hopping in there.
Yeah.
Speaking of like supportive crowds, my 9-year-old daughter was like, I want to do karaoke. And I hadn't been there before, and I was like, I don't know, can a kid just get up there and do karaoke, or is that weird? But she went up there, and it was one of those cases where like I wanted to tell her not to, just because I was putting myself
Yeah.
in her shoes.
Yeah.
But then she was like, no, I want to. And I was like, all right, go up there. But yeah, the crowd was couldn't have been more supportive, and they were very cool. But yeah, it was his Danielson spots
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Uh,
Like
I was
the
I was
arcades in
there
the back.
the other night. He had like a gathering. It was mostly his regulars, and they were talking about the karaoke coming up because they were raising money for that karaoke. People were paying for spots.
Oh yeah, they were doing a pancreatic cancer
Yeah.
fundraiser. That's
Yeah.
right. Yep.
And they raised a bunch of money, so it was great. But almost every regular would be like, "Oh, we don't sing well. We don't come here because we sing well. We come here because it's fun to sing."
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, "Oh," and like everybody in the crowd that's like their culture
Yep.
of it. Like, oh yeah, we just get up and have fun. You know?
Yeah,
and,
that
and
I did get that vibe of like,
yeah,
oh, this is a very non-judgmental
right,
crowd.
yeah,
Yeah, because everyone getting up there, some were good, some were not so good, but you could
Yeah.
everyone was just up there like to have fun, and the crowd was behind them.
yeah, yeah. So no, it's great. I've been there a couple times for karaoke. I just watch. I
Yeah.
definitely don't sing. That's
No,
not
I just
happening.
watched as well.
So I've been taken off the karaoke mic when I was in my 20s.
You got cut off.
kind of,
for
yeah.
being too
yeah.
good?
No, God, no. No, I have a hard time keeping up with that ball bouncing on.
Oh yeah, me too.
And reading and singing at the same time is very, very tough for me.
No, I couldn't do that. I would have to know the words in my head. I wouldn't even
Yeah.
want. I wouldn't look at them on the screen.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can't do. I've never done that either. Memorize the whole song, maybe the birthday one. That's about it.
Which is trademark, so I don't think you can do it at karaoke.
Yeah. Yep.
You get Adam sued.
Well, that might be fun too.
Yeah.
Shout out Adam. All right. Anything else? Anything else you want to plug? Any big things coming up?
No, I would say if anyone's interested, you can check out our website, realcustomtraining.com. Our next 6-week leadership development program is called Learning to Lead. And that's coming up starting December 9th. And it'll run through the end of January with a few weeks off around Christmas and New Year's. But yeah, this is one for folks who are bosses and want to become great leaders. So all 6 of these workshops have the common theme is small group dynamics.
Yeah.
The module prior to this is more about one-on-one relationships with employees. But um, yeah, leading with listening is a workshop. Coaching skills, we give people like a super simple framework to start coaching employees, which is a little, we talked about the differences between training and coaching.
Nice.
Team building strategies, conflict management's a huge one. A workshop just on running meetings that matter, so that
None.
no meetings.
Kyle's a firm believer that could have been an email.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That didn't need to
Oh,
be a
yeah.
meeting.
So speaking of
100%.
flowcharts, that's actually one where I do have a flowchart for people, where I'm like, use this flowchart and it'll help you determine if you really need a meeting or if it could have been email or something else.
Yeah.
And then a problem solving strategies workshop. So yeah, just the all the skills that you really need if you're managing people at work, but they're not the skills that we necessarily get taught in traditional education.
Right.
I have a master's in organizational management, but and it was great from Eastern, loved it, but it didn't include, I learned about the science behind listening and communication, but it didn't actually teach me how to sit down and really listen to an employee or a coworker or a boss that I vehemently disagree with, but have to give my full attention and really consider what they have to say.
Yeah.
It's so even with a master's in a management field, you don't necessarily learn this stuff. And it's, for employers, I know that can be frustrating, but it's the reality. And like we said before, what can you do about it? Companies that need these skills in people, what you can do is invest in it. And it doesn't take a ton of time, and you'll get a return on that investment as soon as they come back to work from one of our workshops, because they'll be putting stuff into action.
Yeah.
Cool.
I will say listening on a podcast has been, I don't know, just a wild experience. Like I can't think of my next question while I'm trying to listen to you.
Mm-hmm.
So like if we're going to have a real back and forth conversation, you have to listen, So a lot of times when I'm coming up with a question, it's because you stop talking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that can be hard at times. Sometimes you get a little hesitant or whatever, and you just kind of take a minute to think or whatever. And to me, that's where you have to have real listening.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It can't be this let you talk while I'm cultivating the next part of the conversation in my head. You know what I mean? Like that's just not how my brain works. I have to actually listen to you and then think, okay, what can I ask now, or what's popping into my question? It's just, I don't know if that's natural curiosity or if I've trained my brain to be that way. I don't know, but
I would think the podcast has given you, out of necessity, has forced you to start training your brain in that way.
yeah, almost like, all right, you went live, so now you're under pressure to ask questions, and be curious, I guess. Yeah.
Have you found yourself in any professional settings where you kind of, the same way you do during the podcast, you now remind yourself, like, okay, let me make sure I was just caught myself thinking ahead. Let me tune back into what they're actually saying to me.
I don't know. I kind of gave into the idea of not being able to multitask years ago, so I've been doing it for a long time. Where
Oh,
I
nice.
just, like, listen, and then, if I forget a question that I thought I had, it might not have been. It probably wasn't that important. Like, so it's just kind of like always is like on the fly because I have to pay attention and listen.
Yeah.
So because I can't multitask. I don't know, or whatever that is, where people are doing two things at once. I mean, I can walk and chew gum, I can walk and talk, but in classes I could never take notes while somebody was talking.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So like if you like, I can remember science class, 7th grade, we would always know if there was notes by if the board changed from yesterday, because you're not the first class or whatever. So we're like, oh, okay. So I would run in there and try to copy it down right away,
Huh.
so that when he started talking, it was more of like a checklist that he was going through, and I wasn't having to write down stuff. That was like a big thing to me. It was like, I can't take notes. In math class, I always just got a piece of scrap paper, and that was it. Me, a pencil, piece of scrap paper. If the class had calculators, then I have a calculator, but I wouldn't have anything else out. I'd most likely be in the first row or the second row, so I could pay attention to what they were doing, and then when they said, "Okay, let's do this example," that's what the scratch paper was for. But I wouldn't take notes. You know, I might write down a formula
Mm-hmm.
if if they gave you time to. But yeah, that was always me. I never could do two things at once in that respect.
Yeah, that's
So
a good skill to have these days.
doing two things at once.
No,
Oh.
resisting the urge to do two things at once is
Oh.
because I mean I was just there's a book, Deep Work, that was like a big kind of hit in like personal development circles. I haven't finished it,
Okay.
so it's not a full endorsement. But that book, Deep Work, was really all about how culturally, like, we are, you know, I mean, if I just look at like screen, screen, screen with like, there's unlimited information right here, you
Yeah.
know, and even productivity wise, like I said before, there's so many softwares, and it's just like it almost feels absurd to say no. You just need
To write it
a
down.
pen and paper, or
Yeah.
or the rough equivalent of that, and yeah, that book is all about how it's like an act of rebellion now, in a way, to say no, I'm only going to focus on one thing.
Mm.
You know, and it says, that book talked about how it's easy for us to say, hey, you know, everyone should take 50 minutes a day and just work on the most important thing they have. But in the real world, are your coworkers going to start gossiping that you're blowing them off if you're not available for that 50 minutes a day, that you're working on something important, but you've turned off your phone, turned off your email, you won't answer them if they knock on your door? It's easy to say take the time, but the organization has to also support it.
Right.
And your
right.
coworkers and everybody
Yeah.
culturally kind of has to say, all right, this is their time,
Yeah.
but we're not going to bother them with anything.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes the experts and the gurus out there, especially when they're millionaire or billionaire entrepreneurs, I find there's a lot of advice from them out there that to me just doesn't pass the real world sniff test. Where it's like, yes, that I know you make time for that in your day, but can the average person do it?
Right. It's
Maybe if they
yeah.
had organizational buy-in.
Yeah. It's almost like that, like Michael Jordan trying to teach a class about basketball
Mm-hmm.
without having that basic fundamentals of basketball. Like, it's just too much. You know what I mean? Like a billionaire, a millionaire, unless they're really starting from their beginning and laying out that blueprint in their book or whatever.
Yeah, you'd have to go to the beginning.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they might be like, hey, if you want to get better at basketball, here's what you do. Work with your personal trainer 8 hours a day and make sure your nutritionist is the best. And it's like, all right, Michael Jordan, I don't have those resources.
Right.
You know,
right.
that's what
Yeah.
I find a lot. It's like they're describing things from or they have a resource richness that people looking for that kind of
Yeah.
advice may not have.
Yep. Yeah, that's definitely, and it's tough because, you know, some of them are really sincere about wanting to help or spread their knowledge or whatever of, lifting people up is just such a rewarding thing.
Mhm.
You know, trying to make people better and watching growth and stuff. It's like one of the most amazing things to watch. You know, it's why we all have kids. You know,
Yeah.
it's like you want to see your kid grow up and be successful. You know, and I just feel like it's the same thing in the business culture as you're watching people grow. Especially if you become a millionaire, billionaire, and then you want to turn around and give that back to someone else, because why wouldn't you? You know, but yeah, there's like a mix of things that have to kind of come together for, a lot of people don't always talk about the luck that life brings certain people. There's a lot to be, there's a lot that goes in. Successful people are lucky. You know what I mean? There's a lot of luck that has to deal with it. Like,
oh, totally.
I talk about, I was born into a family of two parents, and they loved me. You know what I mean? That's not everybody in the world. That's not the other 8 billion. You
Yep.
know, it's there's a lot of luck that comes with life and being successful, and it's just like you keep doing the right things, but there are times when that's some of the other entrepreneurs will say, well, if you do the right things, you'll eventually get lucky. So
Yeah. Will
it's-
you though?
yeah, it's like I guess, but yeah, I don't know. It's funny though that you bring about successful people teaching how to be successful,
Hmm.
and if they don't really go back to when they had nothing, that kind of thing, it's tough to track.
Yeah.
But, so yeah. Cool, man. Well, I really appreciate you coming down here and talking with us.
Yeah. Thank you
I,
guys. I really appreciate it. This
Yeah.
was
Bet.
great.
Yeah.
I hope we brought some value.
Oh,
to,
absolutely.
the people, our viewers and followers, and your following. If you
Yeah.
invited them. And,
Yeah, I appreciate the chance.
So,
It was a
yeah.
great conversation.
Yeah. So, as usual, always welcome back. Love to do it again.
Yeah, yeah,
we
that'd be
can
great.
talk about the comedy thing.
There we go.
10 minutes. Oh, God. Are you going to have a new 10 minutes this year?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you get
Each
you're
year I
a
did
full
10,
Oh, so you
new
got
10
10
new
minutes.
Wow.
minutes. Yeah.
And it's new.
Yeah, I
New
feel like turning
jokes.
40 will be
Wow. Good for you.
like, what was there was something where, oh, I was just thinking about it on the drive here. Shoot, it was something I said. And I was like, I think that's a 40-year-old thing to say.
Okay.
It was holy moly or something. Like, it was something I've never really said before, but I just happened to be like, oh, holy moly. Like, where's that coming from? Oh, maybe that's a 40-year-old thing.
That is.
Or like my back, if I bend over now, my whole spine just like.
Oh, I'd
It's-
love that. Would be fantastic.
I like it, but it's new, and I've been cracking my back for like 20 years.
Yeah.
So to discover like a whole new means of cracking it, really, that was weird.
Yeah.
And it's one of those sounds where it's hard to believe you didn't just injure yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's such a like violent cracking sound.
Yeah. I'm of the. Oh, what's that? What's that? Oh, phew. I got it on this side too. It's supposed to be
Yeah.
there. All right.
Yeah.
What's this? What's this?
Oh man.
But yeah, thanks, guys. I would come back
Yeah.
Yeah.
anytime. Yeah.
Awesome.
Great.
Awesome. Really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for watching. The Community Workbench family is promoting the Be the One campaign. It was started by the American Legion in efforts to stop veteran suicide. If you know a veteran, call them. Be the one to check in on them. I'll extend that to all first responders, all combat vets, anybody that sees these things. PTSD is a real thing, and we really have to combat it together. For any other details, go to betheone.org, or you can visit on Facebook the Quiet Corner Peer Support Group. They're doing amazing things with PTSD and the eradication of it. So, yeah, be the one as much as you can, and looking out for all your loved ones that may be experiencing PTSD. Join us again next Monday night at 6, December 1st, when we interview the Tommy Toy Fund. Until then, have a very happy Thanksgiving, a safe Thanksgiving. As always, buy local, especially Saturday, because we have local business Saturday
Oh yeah. Yeah.
coming up. So definitely buy local, hire local, dine local, volunteer local, donate local, get some class locally from my buddy Andy here. Have great days.
Thanks, guys.